Hey everyone, welcome back to FineGap. In today's video, we are diving into a powerful feature in React custom hooks. If you are looking to make your code cleaner and more reusable, then you are in the right place. So let's get started. First things first, what exactly are custom hooks? In React, hooks are special functions that let you tap into state and lifecycle features from function components. A custom hook is simply a JavaScript function that starts with the word use and can call other hooks inside it. Here is a quick example of what a custom hook looks like. You can see it is starting with the word use. It is importing other hooks inside it for example use state. Obviously this can be a built-in hook, or maybe this can be a custom hook, and it is returning something. In our case it is returning two methods and a state. The same way you are importing use state in your custom hook, the same way you can use your custom hook in any of your other component. Just you need to import this and use as you are using this one. Before moving toward the practical, the question is, why would you want to use custom hooks? Well, there are several benefits. So ignore this line. Basically this was my script line. The first benefit is reusability. For example, your application is calling an API multiple times. If you will not use custom hook, maybe you will type that repeated code in your multiple components, but using custom hook you can write your logic to call an API in a separate hook, and each time you just need to change the URL wherever you're using that custom hook. So by using this method your code become reusable. The second benefit is code organization. When you write your React.js applications, you will often see if you will write logic inside your components, so maybe you will see that your components code is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So obviously it will become difficult for you to organize your code. But if you will use or write your logic in your separate custom hooks, then obviously your code will become organized. The third benefit is separation of concerns. You can manage complex logic separately. So for example, in your component you are dealing with many complex logics. So instead of writing all these logics inside one component, you can create multiple custom hooks and divide your one component's logics into multiple different type of logics. So once you will do that, obviously the next part is testing. So custom hooks can be tested independently from your components. So obviously when you will write your logic separately, then you can test your application either your specific logic is working perfectly or not, and instead of testing one component you can test your multiple custom hooks that will contain multiple logics. So your logics will divide it into multiple parts. Your multiple logics will be divided into multiple custom hooks and you can easily test them. So these were some of their benefits. Now let's move toward practical. So first of all, inside the source folder we need to create a new folder named hooks. If you want to skip this step, this is up to you. Obviously you can do that, this is not required. You can create your custom hooks maybe in your components folder or maybe in your source folder, but it will be better if you will define your custom hooks in a separate folder, then your code will become organized. So now let me right click and create a new file. I am going to name this usefetch.tsx. If you notice, I started my hook name with use. Now inside this hook, let me create a functional component. Inside this component, I need to import two built-in hooks. The first one is use state and the second one is use effect. And now inside this function, let me type here const data set data is equal to use state. If you are unaware about use state, I recommend you to stop this video watching and first of all learn the use state, which is a built-in hook. If you are already know this, so then you can keep learning from here. The second state we have to create is loading, and the third state we need to create is error. Obviously on the right side these are the functions that we can use to update our state. Now here we need to type here use effect, and the first parameter would be a callback function and the second parameter would be URL. Now this URL, when we will use this hook anywhere, we will pass this URL as a prop. So obviously you can pass this as a parameter and we are using this URL here. Now inside this we need to write our code to fetch data. So let me type here const fetch data is equal to async and again we will define a callback function, and here we need to type try const response is equal to await fetch url semicolon, and similarly let me type here const results is equal to await response dot json. The reason we make this function async is because we want, first of all, until our API request did not get the response, we do not want to execute next. So that's why we are using async and await. If you are unaware about these two concepts in JavaScript, obviously you can learn them. But now once we will receive this, we can use the set data method, and we can set the results to this. The set data is a method returned by useState which we can use to update our state with the name data. Here we don't need to type equal to. Here I will type catch. So if somehow we got an error, what we can do, set error ERR semicolon, and similarly finally set loading to false. So maybe if we are displaying loading to our user, then we can set it to false. And in the last we need to call this function within the our use effect like this, put semicolon, and here instead of returning an HTML we need to return an object like data loading and error. So we have done with that. Once our this hook will be called, it will took URL as a prop, and then we have defined three states. The first state will be stored data that we will receive from JSON, from our API in the form of JSON, and the second state is used to check loading or not. So we can check either if loading will be null, or maybe we can set it to true. We can, so obviously we are returning loading as well, so we can display user a loading bar. And the third one is we create an error hook, error state. So if somehow our API request fails, we will set error to this, and this error will be returned to the user. So now each time, the benefit of this hook will be we do not need to repeat this code anywhere in our application. Each time we want we want to call an API, we can pass the URL inside our hook, and that's it. And we will get either we will get the response from the server, or if still loading, we will check using this loading state, and if an error come, obviously this state will provide us the error. Now that we have our use fetch hook, let's see how we can use it in a component. I will open the app.tsx. Here I will import use fetch, which exists inside our hooks folder, and then our hook name is use fetch. The same we import use state and other hooks, we are importing our custom hooks with the right path. So now inside our component, let me type a simple logic. For example, first of all I will type const and then data loading and error is equal to use fetch. So here we can write our API name. Let me open the browser, and here I'm going to type dummy JSON. I will open this. So you can use this website to get dummy data and put it on your website. Let me click on read docs. So this is the simplest URL we can call. So let me copy this, and here let me paste this. We need to remove these simple quotations, and also let me type HTTPS here, HTTPS and colon and then double forward slash. So we are calling the simplest URL they have, and this is a testing request. If our request will successfully send to their server and response will successfully be received, then we will receive this JSON. The first key inside our JSON will be status, and the second key inside our JSON will be method. So obviously we are going to use the data. So let me type here fetched data, and now here I will type a pre-tag. Inside the pre-tag I'm going to type here JSON dot stringify. Inside this I'm going to pass our data, so this data. Now let me put not semicolon, but let me click on these three dots, terminal and new terminal, and here I will type npm run dev. So let's see what output we are going to get. We need to open this URL and paste here. Okay, so you can see that we have received our API response successfully. Status okay and method get. I already told you this is the simplest URL this website provide you, and you can test this to check either your request is going successfully to dummy JSON server or not. So yes, our request is going successfully and we are receiving our response very successfully, which is status okay and method get, the same response they mentioned on their website. So now obviously we have created a custom hook. Now you can use this in multiple places. Maybe you are building an e-commerce application, so it is possible that you are calling an API to get cart items or maybe to search something. So you do not need to write this code again and again and again. Obviously you can write your more logic inside this to handle the data based on conditions. Maybe you can call here the second, you can pass a second parameter. For example, either the method should be get post, and you can define your logic inside this, that if user call this hook with a get method, then we need to send a get request, otherwise we need to send a post request. So this is up to you. So now in the last, I'm going to teach you some best practices. So I already told you that your custom hook always will be start with the keyword use. You need to follow this convention, this naming convention. The second best practice is single responsibility. So your hook should always focus on one task. In this example, you can see our hook is only focused on calling an API request and getting data from that. And the second is state management. So be mindful of how you manage state within your hook. So if you define any state inside your custom hook, and maybe that state will be returned by this use fetch, so maybe the name of state would be same, but if you will call your hook 2 times in your component like this, so the first hook that is returned by this use fetch will this is a separate variable, and obviously if you will call your use fetch second time in your same component, so this hook will not contain the same data. Obviously this is you can take this as a different variable. So obviously be mindful of how you manage state within your hook. So that's a wrap on a custom hooks in React. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumb up and subscribe for more React tutorials. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or topic you would like me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.